Hello guys, Over Specialist here from Twitter, as you can see because I'm on my own page. Today I'm going to be doing a video on stocks and shares. This is just a start of a little series. It's not advice. I'm not qualified to give advice. I have no financial advice qualifications, anything like that. It's just a hobby of mine. I've always been interested in stocks and shares and trying to predict the future. As you may have guessed with what I do on Twitter as well. So to begin, I'm just loading up my account. Sorry, you probably can hear all the keys from my loud keyboard. That should do it. So yeah, I'm using Hargreaves Lansdown as the platform. I like their app. I've used it in the past. It's quite a good platform. As you can see, I've opened a stocks and shares ISA today. I've deposited £100. I'm going to be buying a share now, even though the markets are closed. Let's go to Ibstock PLC. Even though the markets are closed, I'm going to be buying a share via a kill or fill order, which doesn't necessarily mean I'll have the shares in the morning when the market's open. It means I'm basically asking for people to buy the shares as soon as the market's open, which is their most volatile time of the day, and I can set a price limit on whether if the price stays within that limit, then my shares will go through and I'll get the shares at that price. If not, I'll wake up tomorrow to an email saying I didn't get them, and I'll reassess the situation when I'm up, when I can see the markets and they're live. So Ibstock PLC, I will dive into why I'm buying shares of Ibstock a little later into the video. I just want to get that done actually because I've been waiting a long time. My mic was, well, it still is awful. This is a PC mic, it's not an external one I've plugged in at all. That's why the audio is dreadful for this. And my broadband's slow, so you'll have to put up with that for a little while. Yeah, place a killer fill as I described before. I'll go into why I'm buying into Ibstock a little bit later on. I'll try and get through it as fast as I can. Okay, so I'm not going to put in a quantity because the price will be different in the morning. I could, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the full £100 sterling, including charges, price limit. So where are we here? I'll put a rough price. I'll put 156. Oh, I'm not too bothered if this doesn't go through straight away in the morning. If I have to do it in the afternoon once I've done the stuff with the kids in the morning, it's not, the markets aren't going to bounce back that quickly, so I'm absolutely fine. So that's £100, the full amount of this ISA. That's what I'll probably do, is every time I have a small manageable disposable like £100, as I said, this is just going to be a hobby for me, and some of the stocks that I've mentioned in the videos I'll come on, I'll then put £100 into that, maybe more, maybe less, we'll see. The order has been received, lovely. Okay, excellent. That's done. So yeah, also thank you to everybody who wished me well during my my illness over the past couple of weeks. It's been pretty horrific, but I'm now back to full strength. My throat's still a bit sore, my chest still burns a little bit, but I'm strong again, which is good. Right, let's go back to Ibstock, so I can leave that up. Let's have a look at what I'm doing today, why I'm doing this. So yeah, as I said, this isn't advice, this isn't anything like that. It's just my own opinions, me trying to predict the future. Because I want to go back, I want to be accountable on my own choices. And I want to come back to this in a few months' time, see what I was saying, see where I went wrong, see what I could have done differently, see where, because I have strong opinions on a lot of things, to see how wrong or how right I was. I think it's important. You've always got to Vod review yourself, no matter what you're doing in life, just so you can improve. If you don't look at what you've done or where you've gone wrong, how will you ever improve? So, yeah. Let's go and have a look, shall we? Right, yeah, so we've got Boris here holding a pen. Love it. Go, Boris. This is last week, I believe. The economy will come roaring back after the coronavirus, as stock markets continue to plunge. So yeah, we've all seen it. It's not. This is very strong. It's well placed to recover. There's Boris again. Hello, Boris. Yep, severe blow for the economy. Of course, it will be. That's talking about supply and demand. Yep, it's not a systematic problem with the economy. No, but we are going to pay the price for this. I think that's something people need to bear in mind as well. Yes, the government is protecting businesses. It's protecting every single individual in the country right now. But we are going to pay a price for this. And it's all very well and good when things get tough and people say they need help, which everybody does in this instant. But they've also got to remember that we're going to pay that price. We're going to have to pay a bit more back into the system just to make this work. It's not free money. At the end of the day, our country is helping every one of us, and we're going to have to help the country afterwards. So it's going to be interesting for the politics of things. I can see that being a very sticky. Once we're through this, anyway. There's no reason why the economy should not come roaring back. Yeah, that's true. I think that's it. It depends on how you look at this situation. But the pessimists who might say this could be quite a long haul. This could go on for a long time. Whether the markets can be sustained, whether the businesses, whether the country can sustain itself for this amount of time, or if you're pessimistic, so I've got that wrong way around, haven't I? Yeah, if you're pessimistic, it's going for the long haul. If you're optimistic, later this year, you'd expect everything to be going back to normal, because as Boris pointed out above, there's no real reason why the economy should be around the world should be suffering the way they are, other than the fact that we're all in quarantine, we're all isolated away from everything we're doing. So yeah, that's about the economy. I mean, for me, there's a few things that need to change with the economy the way it is at the moment, because I look at businesses, big chains in the UK that seem to just get away with murder. They pay their staff I mean, these are massive multi-billion-pound chains as well. They get away with paying their staff next to nothing. With the contracts some of these companies give to companies to their employees. Sorry, these 0-hour contracts, but expect them to work full time. And some days these people will go in, they'll have 15 hours. Some days they'll go in, they'll have 45, or it varies. But to them it doesn't matter, because these people will be propped up by tax credits or by universal credit. The government will bail these companies out and keep them with employees turning up day in day out, even if these employees have no job security. While these companies pay very little taxes, some of them pay fairly, I won't dispute that, but a lot of them, they sort of slip through the loophole. They have overseas offices, they have all sorts. We've all heard about the call centres overseas. I think something needs to be done about businesses here, because a lot of them, they just seem to get away with murder. And yet again, the government stepping in and paying all these, the employees' salaries for all these businesses. They get, I don't know. I'm just frustrated with the way governments in this country handle big business. It's almost like we should be grateful for businesses that are here, and we can allow them to get away with a lot and prop up their employees and give them whatever they want. I mean, look at Richard Branson with Virgin at the moment, and the group there, others as well. The government's prop them up and allow them to get away with a lot here while they're there, and we don't really see the benefit of it. Any of us. I mean, it's all very. They make a big song and dance. Oh, there's a factory opened up and it's given us 9,000 jobs, or so what? You would be more beneficial if you actually paid the tax. But this is a whole different story. I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that when we have new elections coming up, it's all about crowd pleasing nowadays. It's all about what the new government or what the existing government can do to allow to get people happy right there and then. If somebody came in and said, look, I can't promise we're going to be rich within a couple of years, all of us, I'm alert, we're going to do this. We're going to put in a 5-year plan and we're going to start manufacturing again. We're going to start, making Britain great, because we need to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and let's go for it. But if a politician comes out and says that, they're for the chopping block. All people want now is free this, free that, or they want all the answers to their current problems, whatever issue is in the public eye at that time. They want a solution, and that's what policies in politics. They again, they get away with murder too. Nobody's really making that much of an impact to the country, because otherwise, why would the NHS still be renting its beds and mattresses? Why would it's again something that could be solved quite quickly, but we don't. Why are we still hiring locum doctors? These things that are there, or paying extortionate interest on loans for building these hospitals, not just hospitals as well. There's things all up and down the country which could be fixed. They go on about nationalising this and nationalising that, but they don't really think about the bigger picture. They don't really think about what could we solve. So the things that are in the public eye right now is all they seem to care about, and it's just it's a bit of a joke. Politics in this country, they shouldn't have it so polarised, with left and right, and there's no middle ground with them anymore. No one's actually trying to make the country better. Everybody just wants right there and then, what can you give me for free? What can you do for me? It's quite sad. I'm very disappointed with it. Moving on, UK manufacturing as well. I've got this up here. This hurts me. You look at look at other countries in Europe, in around the world, how they manufacture, how they've grown. China's now the big superpower in the world. They manufacture everything. I mean, I've dealt with China personally. I've had things manufactured for me that I've sold, and I've done bits and pieces. I mean, they're wonderfully efficient, the Chinese. I'll give them that. They're very cheap as well. They've got something in the UK which I don't understand. People have this notion that you know, oh no, that's not enough. You must pay me more for this and that. But they don't realise there's always going to be someone else that'll do it for cheaper and probably better. Just because you're British doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else. I think a lot of people, because they have this arrogance about them, they're not willing to do anything. They're not willing to do these jobs, or they don't see the bigger picture. But again, that's another story. But with manufacturing, we suck basically. I mean, apparently we're the ninth biggest manufacturer in the world, but what we actually manufacture and what we could be doing and what we've done in the past is not. It's not really that good, and how much we buy in from overseas in comparison is. Germany, as an example, Germany manufactures a shitload. People in Germany buy from Germany. They protect their own. They buy German products. Everything in their households is German. That's why the German economy is booming, and ours is, well, it's not bad, but it's not as good as it could be. Again, with China, people are often quick to slate China. I remember people talking to me when I was dealing with China, saying, "Oh, why would you buy from China? It'll break in 5 minutes." And I hear that sort of attitude a lot, and I'm thinking, well, China basically supplies 95% of everything in your house. Does everything in your house break? Does it break quickly? No. I mean, the iPhone you get from Apple, which isn't China, or well, some of it is, but they break quite quickly. It's not Chinese, not Chinese company, but that breaks bloody quickly. But everybody's got this weird view on China. I don't really understand it, to be honest, but they've been silently creeping up. They're now a superpower. Rightly so. They've got the right idea. They'll make anything. They want to make things. We don't. That's the difference. Oh, what we got here? Ninth largest in the world. You can see how we went up to 7th. Dipped, coming back up, dipping again. There's nothing really important. Digital technology. Yeah, I mean, if you go by sector, you can see where we're strong or we're not. I mean, obviously we're quite strong with aerospace and military because we've been in the news about that with the Saudis and all sorts. It's not something to be very proud of. But yes, there's jobs, there's turnover. Cars, which is a bit of a dying industry, but all these little chavs are going to need their Vauxhall courses. Chemicals and pharmaceuticals, yeah, we're quite good. There's a lot in Oxford, Cambridge, other places as well, which is doing very good work. Construction, yeah, but very little of Britain is built on. It's all green. I don't know why everyone kicks off about it, but there's very little actually built on. So space and defence again, yeah, we'll touch on that. Electronics, some highly skilled companies, highly skilled people in this country as well, ready to train. There's some good routes into this profession as well, so it's another one which is doing quite well. Energy, don't get me started on energy. I mean, British energy especially, not much of it, is there? Food and drink, yeah. Nuclear, again, I mean, I've just moved to an area in Cumbria, which is everybody here wants to work for the nuclear power plant. It's the place to be, and I can sort of see why. Even there's courses here which aren't available anywhere else in the bloody country to do with nuclear science, which I'm hoping to do myself actually, because it looks bloody interesting. But yeah, nuclear energy is another big one. Plastics, yeah, security. The thing is we don't do very much, like in comparison to what we could do. Especially in some ways we're doing well in some regards. I think the work they're doing in Oxford and Cambridge, especially to pharmaceuticals, drugs, and research, is very good. It's very prominent. The same with the tech. In comparison to other countries like Germany, they've got engineering, their automobile industry. I mean, everybody here wants a Mercedes, don't they, or a BMW? You're not here. Oh yeah, I'm going to save up for my dream Vauxhall Corsa. Right, let's come away from that anyway. But yeah, there's a lot that could be done. But I think you've got to look at in this current state with this virus, you've got to look at these sort of key areas of the UK manufacturing economy and what we're doing right now. What could bounce back quite quickly? What's kind of immortal? What's at risk? I mean, at risk right now. The obvious one is travel. You've got big travel companies, all footsie, or you've got these things may never recover. Cruises right now, for one of them, might never recover. Too much damage might be done. It's going to take a lot of trust in the general public again to want to start flying abroad. I'm sure many people will, but that is an industry. I mean, a lot of them are in SIPs, your self-invested pension pots, or maybe company pensions. They've all touched, they've all got shares in these sort of things. There's others that are more immortal to this and will naturally just bounce back. And hopefully I'll touch on a few. I'm going to get rid of that. So yeah, Ibstock. Ibstock is the UK's largest supplier. Well, it also supplies in the US as well. of bricks. Let me see if I've got some news and research on this. So yeah, it's dipped as well, as has everything at the moment. This was it before all this, and yeah. So you don't just go by these graphs as an indicator of the future, as it keeps telling everybody. Ibstock suspended production at its manufacturing facilities, as it also as it looks to identify means of protecting its cash flow. Sensible. Non-essential capital expenditure has been delayed, including recently announced expansion of a new brick factory. There's a government offer to pay a significant portion of employee wages. That's lovely. It finished the year with net debt to underlying cash profits at the lower end of its 0.5 to 1.5 target. That's very good. At 85 mil, the group has access to undrawn credit facilities of 250 million. Again, that's very good. It's strong. It's going to be resilient to this. It's cancelled its final dividend. That makes a lot of sense as well. Rightmove has recently ruined the speed of the slowdown of the UK housing market has been significant. Yeah. Well, it will. People aren't going to be spending right now. They will eventually. You know, it will come back, as well as will building. It's bad news for suppliers. Our largest in manufacture. It's ground to a halt. Yep. This is normal. Everything's shut down at the moment. Conserving cash through lower costs. Well, they've already got, you know, a lot in reserve. The net debt's low as well, so they're perfectly, you know, they're in good health basically for a company to survive this quite easily. Soon they weather the storm in reasonable shape. It will rest on how the economy bounces back. So again, that's down to perspective. Construction for me as one of our biggest areas is going to be is going to be right at the forefront of the recovery for the economy. As soon as things can get going, it's going to be one of the first to get going. Naturally, as things, I mean, basically the stock markets have been coming back a little bit just because world leaders are saying that they're preparing this and they're doing this for their people. That alone, I mean, that just shows you the impact of even just an opinion of a political leader can have that impact. Once people start going back to work and we start building again and we start, you know, I think this is a really safe mid-term investment or, you know, idea here. You know, we're going to be building. It's not like, you know, cruises, and we're no longer going to be doing our Southampton to Norway route because we've run out of money. This company's built to survive this. They're the biggest. They've got the government support. They're very, very important. Nothing's going to happen to them. So I can only see when this starts going back to normal, whether you believe it'll be in the short term or long term. That's why I say this is a mid-term sort of investment. It's not going to be an overnight one. It's not going to suddenly jump back to where it was. Where were we? Let's go to charts. It's not going to suddenly jump back to where it was, but as everything else improves, it will improve. There are some which won't, which will take a little bit more, but this is one I think will just go straight back up. I can't see anything else. That's quite a bold thing. Well, it's not even really bold to say, but it's quite a predictive thing to say. So let's see in a few months' time if I'm right. So where were we? Here. So this is January, March roughly. Yeah. So even going up a little bit is going to be a nice. I mean, this is only £100. It's not going to make me a lot of money. Just doing it for the hobby, I suppose. I've got a few more which I'm interested in as well. Let's get rid of that. Anoco Group's another one. I've had shares in these before actually. They're a company that make quantum dots. So they were involved in the 4K resolution era, supplying to Samsung. All companies around the world have had contracts with American companies as well. It was a very small company. It started to grow, started to sell. Something's gone wrong with the company. Not much, but well, they're looking to be acquired. Basically, they're looking to be bought out. And the reason why I mention it, this might be a shorter term one. They're actually involved in a lawsuit. I don't know if that's still going on with Samsung over their TV technology. I believe it's over a contract that they had agreed, and it's not. It's all technical. It's all silly. So yeah, I mean, I was back in 2018 when it was a lot higher. When I had shares of these and sold them for a small profit. I should have brought the screen up and shown you all, but I'll do that at a later date. The reason why I say this could be a more short-term, quick investment is if the recent news of them not being acquired as a sale fell through, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. I think this could be a little grower, because what usually happens when a company is bought out and acquired by another company is the company that buys them, their shares will dip a little bit. You know, they've spent some money acquiring a company, and the company that has just been bought, their share prices just grow. And when you're talking 10p shares like this, the growth could be, the growth could be small, could be alright, you know, but it's going to be something, basically. If they get bought out, it's going to be something. If they don't get bought out and, you know, they win their legal out and they go back to normal, the shares can go back to normal when they start trading more, things like that. But I do feel that this one could be a quick quick return, and yeah, I'll Vod review myself on that at a later date to see what's going on with that. Oxford by I had shares in them ages ago at 9p a bloody share. I should have showed you that as well, but you can imagine how gutted I am now that it's gone up. It's not even as high as it was either. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, this is something I'm very interested in at the moment. Albion Venture Capital Trust. This is just for me making predictions as well on the shift of where we're going to go, because not a lot's going to be the same after this. There are, like as I've said, there's going to be things that take hits, things that never recover. There's going to be things that will. And it's all about playing to the strengths of I suppose what you view in the markets as important. And for me, healthcare. I mean, before this was important. As I said, I've had shares in Oxford Biomedica, which is a research company to pharmaceuticals and cures. It's like how I said in my in some of my podcasts on football about smart data being the way forward. We're heading that way with healthcare, especially. We're now getting apps and these startup companies coming out of apps where you can talk to a GP on your phone. There's talk of being able to do a blood test, a pinprick blood test to measure your blood sugar levels, things like that through your phones, through these apps, or through watches as well. And this is where we're heading. We're heading to a more AI-based algorithm fueled future where things are done through technology, and there's a lot of scope for growth with this. I believe. I think there's a lot, and a lot of these companies that are coming out with these great ideas, they're going through their full stage funding. They're going through. Well, there's a lot out there, right? And there's a lot of great ideas. Not a lot of them have hit the stock exchanges yet. Some of them haven't had their initial price offerings. There's some that have fund managers buying into them early. This company interests me. Albion, I've got the. I'll go through some of the company information and the results, things like that. What investments they buy into. I'll go through that in a sec as well. Just to sort of show you what I mean, because it's run by a lovely bloke. I'm sure I'll put a picture somewhere. Richard Glover, the chairman. Investment policy. They will invest in a broad portfolio of smaller, unquoted growth businesses across a variety of sector, including high-risk technology companies. Investments may take the form of equity or a mixture of equity and loans. So yeah, it's spread out quite nicely. No more than 15% of a single portfolio company. So it's not all your eggs in one basket. Relevant information here. Nothing really. Some of the returns per share. I mean, it's a steady one so far, but they've had a recent shift in how they're operating as well, and that's it compared to the FTSE All Share as well. Balance sheets. There's Richard. Look at that happy man. Very nice guy. Okay, so I've had a change to investment policy. It was voted on by shareholders with 99% of shares voted for this new resolution, and that is based from where is it? A greater focus from an asset-based one to a portfolio of a greater focus on young growth companies, and that's the key point for me is they're going for it with these technology businesses. Let's have a read. First 7 investments in growth and technology businesses, which amount to 1.7 million, 3% holding in their portfolio. So again, not all the eggs. In development of software to improve decision making through augmented analytics, machine learning through Evora, an AI platform that generates optimized marketing campaigns for AZ, a developer of biopharmaceuticals through the application software of a formulation technology platform, Aracor. So you can see already they're buying into this smart health. I don't know what the actual term is, but sort of smart data health, AI, and this is 3 different areas of it already. Healthcare continues to be the largest sector in our portfolio. I like that, 42% of it, especially if we're going down the smart health route as well. They've also owned 3 care homes, one of them being a very prestigious high-end one in London. Care homes as well are very interesting because we have an ageing population. Not a lot of people seem to be aware of that, but in you know how in law we've had PPI, we've had accidents at work, all this sort of shit. We're going to have a boom soon of care home. A lot of law. That's going to be like a next area of law, which is going to be not just exploited, but there's going to be a lot more cases of it. So there's going to need to be a lot more legislation drawn up on it. And there's going to be a lot of claims made against care homes or negligence. All this sort of thing is going to happen because we have a much older population than we've had in a long time. So yeah, one thing to bear in mind, anything to do with care homes that you can get in on as well is, or obviously if it goes the right way, isn't a bad shout. But yeah, it's just an interesting part of law, which is going to be changing soon. They've got renewable energy investments as well, 18% of the portfolio. Nothing bad, and especially if they're going for these high risk growth, startup companies that are just going for it, basically trying to get their ideas out there. Let's see what else. Yeah, they've made money from these, generating proceeds from these. Buying and selling hotels. They're doing property. They own a Holiday Inn Stansted. I believe it's a franchise with them. But yeah, I mean, I can go for that in a bit as well. Schools. You know, they've got this sort of fund. I don't usually deal with funds. I don't usually deal with these sort of things at all. But they've got this guy, Richard. He's piqued my interest because it's a lot of the areas I'm already interested in. A lot of the areas I think are going to be really strong. It's a cheap one to get into as well. So I think it's very worthwhile me taking a risk on this. This will probably be the next one I get into. Obviously, I've gone with Ibstock now for my initial one. There we go. We can see. So we've got education, renewable energy, services, growth technology, hotels, healthcare. Bang! And these are not just healthcare. It's big healthcare with the new smart health coming into it as well. So yeah, half of them are quite established companies as well. You know, when we look at under 20 employees, we're talking very small. When we get into these here, and this is quite 58% of them are large companies. When you look at companies as a whole, 30% over 5 mil, again established companies here. Between 1 and 5 from growth stage. So yeah, a very large chunk of these companies as well are already bringing in a lot of revenue. So it's a little bit less risky than it sounds. I did skim through this, so it's not really important, but dividends increasing. There we go. Always paid dividends, other than right this second, because nobody bloody is. I can't remember if there's anything else more relevant. But yeah, this is just another one I'm interested in while it's cheap, because it's going the right way. That's what I can say. It's looking at the right things. This Richard bloke, he's piqued my interest. So yeah, it's a listing of all the things they're invested in right now: the renewable energies, the hotels, the schools, what they're bringing in per year as well. I'll post this in the link, but in the description below, so you can have a look at it if you want to. See, look, there's our care home. 66 bird home find for dementia. Dementia is another key area of law, which is going to be very critical for law coming up as well. As well as just being in elderly care, these are things which are very prominent. They're about to blow up in law, is what I'm saying. They're about to become big issues. Top 20 care homes in the country. That's lovely. 75 bed. Nice. Outstanding. Lovely. Top 1% of care homes in London. So yeah, again, they've got their eggs in a nice little. I'm waffling a bit here now. I don't want to go on too long. But yeah, I mean, you can go through this shit yourself. Like, if you wanted to have a look, I'll post a link. Anyway, for you to have a look at. But yeah, Ibstock, for me, the first one it's going to be the one I'm certain this is going to do absolutely fine. There are others. There are lots of others right now which you could have a guess at just being absolutely fine. Will bounce back. You know, it doesn't take a genius. I'm not a genius. You know, I've been called it, but this is just me rambling now. This is just going to be a little hobby series where I can go back and I can assess, you know, my decision, my thought process at the time. What made me think that? Was I right? Was I wrong? Put myself to account for that as well. So hopefully, you know, I'm not expecting to become a multi-millionaire out of this. As I said, it's only £100. I'll just be dropping. I'm not rich. I'll just be dropping little bits here and there, just to test my knowledge, just to see how we go. And if anyone wants to discuss any of this with me, please do. Always open to talk about this sort of thing. As I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to fulfill the boredom of self-isolation. Obviously, with no football on as well, as you know, that's what I do mainly, and just trying to fill that time. And it felt like a good time to look at stocks and shares, especially considering right now we've had stuff that's happened that would usually happen over a period of, you know, 50 years. Has happened in the space of a couple of months. We've got it's a good opportunity to start thinking about the future. I think, not that I'm actually trying to build something out of this, but it's a good opportunity to start looking at things to see what happens. And then when this does improve, whether it's in 6 months or whether it's in a couple of years or whether it's in 20 years, at least I'll have this to go back over to see where we were. But yeah, get in contact if you want to. I'll post a few more of these at some point as well. Add into the pot. Perhaps it probably will be that fun. The Albion Venture, Capital Trust. That's probably what I'm going to go on next. There's probably a few more. I'll find in the meantime. I've got a little watch list going of things I'm looking at, but if I had a lot more money disposable right now, I'd put some more in, but I don't, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, thanks for listening. I'm sorry I've waffled on for ages, and bye. Have a good evening. Enjoy your isolation, people. Cheers for listening. Bye bye.